When you think of video game companies, Nintendo comes to mind almost immediately. I mean, they're basically a household name. Who hasn't at least heard of Wii Sports, Mario, or Pokemon? Nintendo isn't just making games, they've carved out this legacy that spans decades, reaching players of all ages. They've set trends, shaped childhoods, and they're just as much a part of gaming's history as they are its future. But for all the fun Nintendo has given us, there's another side. A side that isn't all about creating joy. Over the years, more and more people are seeing what might lie behind the curtain. As beloved as they are, Nintendo's been criticized, and pretty loudly at that, for being almost ruthless. There's story after story of fan-made projects being shut down, communities dismantled, and people hit with lawsuits for things that often seem harmless or even celebratory. They've built up this wholesome image, but there are times where their actions feel like they've come straight from a playbook of a company that's laser focused on control, even over the fans who love their games. Now, I get it, business is business. But when you start seeing Nintendo as just a fun-loving game company, it's worth remembering that they're not just creating worlds for us to play in. They're a corporation with interests to protect. And as they push further into the future, they're shaping up to be one of the most controlling companies in gaming. It's like every great game they drop becomes this quiet reminder. They're here to make magic, but it's strictly on their terms. But how did we get to this point? For that, we had to go back to the beginning. Nintendo's journey began in 1889 when Fusajiro Yamauchi founded the company in Kyoto, Japan, initially creating Hanafuda playing cards for Japanese audiences. For years, Nintendo remained in this business, with the cards gaining popularity across gambling circles. But everything changed when Hiroshi Yamauchi took over as president in 1949. Driven by an ambitious vision, he led the company through various experimental ventures, from instant rice to taxis, before settling on toys as a focus. In the 1960s, Nintendo began creating toys like the Ultra Hand, a mechanical arm which became a hit in Japan, signaling Nintendo's ability to capture people's imagination. By the late 1970s, with the toy industry well established, Nintendo explored the emerging field of electronic entertainment, releasing Computer Othello in 1978 and finding massive success with Donkey Kong in 1981. Donkey Kong, designed by Shigeru Miyamoto, introduced the world to Mario, Nintendo's soon-to-be mascot. Around the same time, Nintendo launched the Game & Watch series, handheld games that brought their creations to players' pockets. Created by Gunpei Yokoi, Game & Watch proved to be a breakthrough, setting the stage for Nintendo's long-lasting influence in portable gaming. In the 1980s, Nintendo launched the Famicom in Japan, which was later rebranded as the Nintendo Entertainment System in the United States. The NES revitalized the US gaming market after the 1983 video game crash, becoming a household staple thanks to groundbreaking titles like Super Mario Bros. And The Legend of Zelda. Following the NES, Nintendo released the Game Boy in 1989, which was bundled with Tetris and quickly became a global sensation, cementing Nintendo's dominance in handheld gaming. The 1991 release of the SNES brought improved graphics, sound, and timeless classics like Super Mario World and The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, allowing Nintendo to stay at the forefront of the console market even as competitors like Sega entered the scene. Nintendo entered the 3D era with the Nintendo 64 in 1996, which brought gaming into new dimensions with titles like Super Mario 64 and The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. Despite its innovative gameplay, the N64 faced stiff competition from Sony's PlayStation, which used CDs rather than cartridges, making it more attractive to third-party developers. By 2000, Nintendo was at a pivotal point, having succeeded in creating beloved games and characters but facing increasing challenges from rival consoles. And as they prepared to release the GameCube and move into the new millennium, Nintendo was ready to evolve again, committed to pushing the boundaries of gameplay while maintaining the fun and creativity that became their signature. In the early 2000s, Nintendo was up against fierce competition. Sony's PlayStation 2 was setting records, and Microsoft had entered the gaming scene with the Xbox. In 2001, Nintendo released the GameCube, a powerful console with a focus on fun, colorful games. Although it offered memorable titles like Super Smash Bros. Melee, Metroid Prime, and The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, it didn't achieve the commercial success of its rivals. However, during this time, Nintendo still dominated the handheld market with the Game Boy Advance, which built on the success of the original Game Boy and introduced many new players to portable gaming. Nintendo's next major move came with the Wii in 2006. Instead of competing directly on power and graphics, Nintendo focused on innovation and accessibility with motion controls. The Wii's unique Wiimote controller allowed players to interact with games by swinging, pointing, and tilting, which made the games accessible to people of all ages and skill levels. Bundled with Wii Sports, the console became a cultural phenomenon, drawing in a broader audience and leading to massive sales. The Wii sold over 100 million units worldwide, making it one of the best-selling consoles of all time. Meanwhile, Nintendo also released the DS in 2004, a dual-screen handheld that became another success, especially with games like Nintendogs and Brain Age that appealed to new demographics. Together, the Wii and DS era solidified Nintendo's reputation for prioritizing creative, accessible experiences. In 2012, Nintendo released the Wii U, hoping to build on Wii's success by introducing a new feature, the Gamepad, a controller with a built-in touchscreen. However, the Wii U faced challenges due to a confusing name, limited third-party support, and a lack of clear communication about how it differed from the original Wii. Though it underperformed in sales, the Wii U was a crucial learning experience for Nintendo and served as a testing ground for ideas that would later influence the Nintendo Switch. Despite the Wii U's struggles, Nintendo continued to shine with handheld consoles like the 3DS, which brought 3D gaming to a portable format, and featured standout titles like Animal Crossing New Leaf and Pokemon X and Y. In 2017, Nintendo made a spectacular comeback with the Nintendo Switch, a hybrid console that could seamlessly transition between home console and handheld mode. With the Switch, Nintendo created a unique device that resonated with both casual and hardcore gamers, as well as those nostalgic for Nintendo's classic franchises. Its launch was bolstered by instant hits, like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, and the console's popularity only grew as more games, including third-party titles and indie hits, were added to its library. The Switch has become one of the best-selling consoles of all time. As of now, with the Switch entering its 7th year and making me feel really old, fans are eagerly awaiting what Nintendo will do next, likely building on the Switch's success and continuing their legacy of innovation and creativity. Then, Nintendo started getting stingy, and anything that even referenced the video game giant was subject to destruction. Fan projects, tribute videos, and even harmless fan art became targets. Nintendo started cracking down on anyone who dared use their characters or assets without permission, issuing takedown notices left and right. From fan-made games to mods, these projects, created out of pure love for Nintendo's worlds and characters, were swiftly shut down. Creators would pour countless hours into crafting tribute projects, only to find them removed or deleted without warning. Their strict copyright policies didn't just stop at fan games. Content creators on platforms like YouTube faced challenges as well. Nintendo enforced tight control on those who could monetize gameplay videos, limiting fans' ability to share their love for the games. Channels showcasing gameplay, walkthroughs, or game reviews were hit with copyright claims. And for a while, it seemed like Nintendo would only allow monetization through their own creator program, a setup that took a significant cut from creators' earnings. Even tournament organizers for popular Nintendo games like Super Smash Bros. Weren't safe. Nintendo was notoriously strict about unofficial tournaments and events, shutting down competitions that didn't have their direct blessing. These tournaments, which celebrated Nintendo's games and brought fans together, often struggled under Nintendo's watchful eye. It left many fans and creators feeling frustrated, questioning how a company they love could be so protective, even to the point of stifling its own community. Pokemon Uranium and AM2R. In 2016, two fan-made games, Pokemon Uranium and AM2R, received widespread attention in the gaming community. Pokemon Uranium was a full-length fan game that introduced new Pokemon, regions, and features. Meanwhile, AM2R was an ambitious fan remake of Metroid 2 Return of Samus, which updated the classic Game Boy title with modern graphics and gameplay elements. Both projects were years in the making, created by fans who loved Nintendo franchises. But just as they gained popularity, Nintendo issued takedown notices and both games were removed from their official download sites. While fans could still find unofficial ways to play these games, Nintendo's swift action shut down their original distribution. Super Smash Bros. Tournaments. Nintendo's relationship with the competitive Super Smash Bros. Scene has been tense, to say the least. In 2013, Nintendo initially attempted to shut down the Super Smash Bros. Melee tournament being streamed at the Evolution Championship Series, one of the biggest fighting game tournaments in the world. Only after public backlash did Nintendo allow the tournament to proceed. More recently, in 2020, Nintendo issued a cease and desist to the Big House, a prominent Super Smash Bros. Tournament because it used a mod called Slippy to enable online play during the pandemic. This shutdown frustrated the community, which had been playing Melee for nearly 2 decades and found online play essential during COVID-19. YouTube content claims. For years, Nintendo was notoriously strict on YouTube, issuing copyright claims against creators who uploaded gameplay videos. In 2015, they launched the Nintendo Creators Program, which allowed YouTubers to share their Nintendo gameplay in exchange for a portion of their ad revenue. However, Nintendo took a significant cut, and creators had to submit their videos for approval, often dealing with delays and restrictions. This move discouraged many YouTubers from showcasing Nintendo content, as other game companies allowed free gameplay sharing and supported their communities in ways that didn't require profit sharing. Project M and Smash Bros. Mods. Project M was a fan-made mod of Super Smash Bros. Brawl that adjusted gameplay mechanics to make it more like Super Smash Bros. Melee. It became widely popular within the Smash community, especially among competitive players who preferred Melee's faster pace. While Nintendo never officially shut down Project M, they issued takedown notices against websites hosting it, and the mod developers eventually ceased development, likely to avoid further legal risks. Other mods and fan adjustments to Nintendo games faced similar fates: Super Mario 64 HD Remake and Super Mario Battle Royale. Fan-made projects related to Super Mario 64 have also seen frequent targets. A fan created a full HD remake of Super Mario 64, bringing the beloved game into modern graphics quality, but Nintendo quickly issued a takedown notice. Similarly, Super Mario Royale, a fan-made online game where players competed in a Battle Royale version of Mario, was forced to rebrand the DMCA Royale after Nintendo issued a takedown. Etika's custom Joy-Cons. Nintendo's enforcement extended to even smaller gestures from fans. In 2020, a fan created custom Joy-Cons in tribute to Etika, a popular YouTuber who was known for his love of Nintendo and who had tragically passed away. The custom controllers were sold to raise money for mental health charities, but Nintendo issued a cease and desist, forcing them off the market. Many fans found this move disappointing, and it affected a tribute to a beloved creator who had contributed significantly to Nintendo's fan culture. Metroid Prime 2D. A fan group had been working on Metroid Prime 2D, a 2D reimagining of the classic Metroid Prime game, using the style and mechanics of classic 2D Metroid titles. The project gained attention from the Metroid community, but as the game started to attract a larger following, Nintendo quickly issued a cease and desist order. This case mirrored the fate of AM2R, showing Nintendo is particularly vigilant about fan-made Metroid projects. Nintendo ROM sites and emulation takedowns. Nintendo has actively pursued legal action against websites that host ROMs, digital copies of their games, and emulators, software that allows games to be played on unofficial platforms. In 2018, Nintendo filed a lawsuit against Love ROMs and Love Retro, two popular ROM hosting sites, demanding millions of dollars in damages. The lawsuit resulted in the sites being taken down, with the owners paying a settlement to Nintendo. Nintendo's action sent a clear message, leading to many ROM and emulator sites to voluntarily remove Nintendo titles or shut down entirely. Pokemon Essentials. Pokemon Essentials was a fan-made development toolkit that allowed users to create Pokemon-style games within the RPG Maker software. This toolkit became popular for making fan games, allowing fans to create their own stories and Pokemon-inspired worlds. It was widely used for years by creators of fan-made Pokemon games. However, in 2018, Nintendo issued a takedown notice, forcing Pokemon Essentials creators to remove it from their site. This decision affected numerous fan developers who relied on the toolkit for personal projects and fan games. Mother 3 Fan Translation. Nintendo's Monster series, known as Earthbound outside of Japan, has a dedicated fanbase, especially around Mother 3, a title released only in Japan for the Game Boy Advance. Fans eager for an English version created a full fan translation in 2008. While Nintendo didn't immediately take down the translation, they've since discouraged it, and their legal stance around fan translations have dissuaded efforts to make Mother 3 available in English. To date, the fan translation remains unofficial, and while fans still advocate for an official release, Nintendo has avoided localizing the game. This is just a handful of things that Nintendo has done to discourage their community, chipping away at the love and loyalty fans have for the brand. By relentlessly shutting down fan projects, tournaments, and creative works, Nintendo risks pushing away the very people who keep its legacy alive. Fans have reacted with a lot of frustration and disappointment to Nintendo's aggressive stance on fan projects. For many, these projects are a way of showing an appreciation for the games they love, not trying to infringe on them. When Nintendo cracks down on fan-made games like Pokemon Uranium and AM2R, fans see years of dedication wiped away in an instant. It feels like Nintendo is stifling creativity and turning back on a community that has supported them for decades, making fans wondering why their passion isn't met with more understanding. This approach also led to disillusionment. Nintendo has always had a family-friendly, welcoming image, but these actions reveal a different side, one that feels corporate and profit-driven. It's tough for fans who grew up with Nintendo's games to reconcile for their nostalgic love for the brand with the reality of how strict the company can be. The takedowns feel at odds with the spirit of the Nintendo games, leaving fans conflicted about a company they once saw about fun and creativity. In response, fans have called for Nintendo to consider more official releases or collaborations, pointing for example Sega's Sonic Mania, which started as a fan project and ended up being an official release. There's also been open criticism online when Nintendo shuts down community-driven events like the Big House Tournament, sparking hashtags like #FreeMeLee. Many fans argue that embracing fan projects and allowing them to thrive would benefit both Nintendo and the gaming community. Ultimately, fans' relationship with Nintendo has grown complicated. They still love the games and continue to support new releases, but there's offering a lingering bitterness. Comparisons to other companies that are more lenient or even supportive of fan content have made Nintendo's approach feel out of step with the times. For a lot of fans, it's becoming a love-hate relationship. They're excited for the new Nintendo games, but they're also wary of a company that doesn't seem to fully embrace its passionate community. Nintendo's aggressive takedown actions have inadvertently driven some fan communities underground, where enthusiasts continue to share, preserve, and even expand on Nintendo-related content outside the company's reach. Instead of abandoning projects, many fans are simply taking their creations to private forums, invite-only Discord servers, and encrypted file-sharing networks to keep the games, mods, and content alive. These underground methods have become a main way for fans to distribute fan-made games, mods, and emulators in a way that avoids Nintendo's legal radar. For example, ROMs of classic Nintendo games have become increasingly hard to find on mainstream websites due to Nintendo's lawsuits and takedown requests. In response, fans have created alternate ways to share these ROMs, often using torrenting or private file sharing services that are more difficult for companies to monitor. For some fans, preserving these games is about more than playing them, it's about preserving video game history. Many see these classic Nintendo titles as culturally significant and believe they should be accessible. Fan projects have been shut down, like Pokemon Uranium and AM2R. While Nintendo effectively shut down the official links, fans have preserved these games, hosting them on private servers and sharing them quietly among trusted circles. Communities dedicated to these projects can still be found on social media platforms, but often with restricted access to protect from takedowns. Fans who miss the original releases or want to continue experiencing these unofficial expansions of Nintendo's world can still find ways to access them, even if it's a little more challenging. This underground sharing has created a kind of hidden Nintendo fan community, where people bond over their shared love of preserving and extending the company's legacy, often in ways that Nintendo itself doesn't officially endorse. To these fans, underground sharing has become a necessary form of resistance, a way to celebrate Nintendo's games without the looming threat of shutdowns. But it's a testament to the passion and dedication of Nintendo's community, even as they navigate a relationship with a company that doesn't always embrace their love for its creations. It's honestly heartbreaking to see how strict Nintendo has become with its fan community. Look, I get it, they have every right to protect their intellectual property. Legally, it makes sense, and in the corporate world, it's their responsibility to uphold the brand. But it just feels like they're missing the bigger picture here. Nintendo has always been this beacon of creativity and fun, a company that has shaped so many of our childhoods, but now, it feels like they're pushing away the very people who made them what they are today. Every time a fan project gets shut down, or a tournament is cancelled, or a YouTuber is hit with copyright claims, it sends this really disheartening message. They're more interested in control more than the joy of the people that find their games. And what's worse is that these aren't just random projects trying to make a quick buck off Nintendo's game. They're labors of love by fans. Projects people have poured their hearts into, often for free, just to celebrate the worlds and characters that Nintendo created. It's disappointing because fans are doing this out of pure passion. And instead of recognizing that, Nintendo is stepping in with legal threats. They're within their rights, but at what cost? When they shut down fan-made games like Pokemon Uranium or mods like Project M, they're not just protecting their IP, they're stifling their community. These projects bring people together, keep the love for Nintendo's games alive, and often fill gaps that Nintendo itself has left open. Instead of embracing that or even considering official partnerships, they go in and shut it down. It's like they don't realize the harm they're doing to the trust and goodwill of their most loyal fans. Nintendo has created some of the most iconic games in gaming history. Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, and Metroid to name a few. But their actions make it harder for people to feel connected to the brand. Fans should be allies, not targets. The community they've built is strong, but it's also bitter now, and every takedown just adds to the resentment. If they could only see that by supporting fan projects and working with their community, they'd foster a level of loyalty and excitement that no marketing campaign could ever match. Nintendo could be the company that celebrates creativity, not one that shuts it down. But until they realize that, the gap between Nintendo and its fans will only keep growing. And that is the most disappointing thing of all. But if you liked the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell for future notifications. We're trying to reach 900 subscribers by the end of the year. And if you can help me out on that journey, that would be much appreciated. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.